Welcome to Cinematic Excrement. If you saw the end of my last review, you probably guessed, correctly, that I'm reviewing an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie this time. And while it won't be nearly as bad as the last Arnold movie I reviewed, I assure you it's still pretty stupid. So let's dive into the world of sword and sorcery as we take a look at Conan, the Destroyer. This, of course, is the sequel to 1982's Conan the Barbarian, the movie that put Arnold on the map. And I suppose if I'm going to talk about the sequel, I should at least briefly touch upon the original. And if you want my honest opinion... Okay, let me explain where I'm coming from. I had a very sheltered childhood, and R-rated movies were pretty much out of the question. Hell, my parents didn't even let me see a PG-13 flick until I was, I think, 12. In case you're wondering, it was Jurassic Park. And it was awesome. And they didn't let me watch an R-rated movie until I was about 15. That movie was Blazing Saddles, and again, it was awesome. They only let me and my sister watch that movie because they couldn't remember why it had an R rating. And I guess as far as most R-rated movies go, it is pretty tame. Though it does feature gratuitous use of the word Gratuitous use of the word Oh. The fuck? Since when do I have a censorship filter? Wait. No, I just said fuck. And it didn't bleep that out. But it's bleeping out shit, piss, cunt, fuck, cocksucker, motherfucker, tits. Look, I'm not using it as a racial slur, okay? I'm just saying Blazing Saddles had gratuitous use of this word. Oh, come on! Okay, I'm getting way off topic here. The point I'm trying to make in a roundabout way is I didn't see Conan at a young age, and if I had, I probably would have enjoyed it a lot more. I can see why this movie would appeal to adolescent males. Unfortunately, by the time I finally saw this, I was well into adulthood, and while I don't think it's a bad movie, it's really not all that great either. It does have entertaining characters. James Earl Jones makes for a fantastic villain, Mako is his usual awesome self, and Arnold looks amazing as Conan, even if his acting is far from perfect. Visually, the film looks great. They did a fantastic job immersing the audience in this mythical world of Iboria, and the score by Basil Polidoris is fucking brilliant. But none of this can cover up the fact that so much of this movie makes no goddamn sense. Conan spends his youth as a slave, and apparently the only thing he has to do is push this big fucking wheel. Why is his only job pushing this big fucking wheel? And what purpose does this wheel serve? We don't know. It's never explained. At some point, he meets a witch and has sex with her, and then she turns into a vampire or something, and then into some fiery ghost spirit thing, and then she's gone. What the hell just happened? We don't know. It's never explained. The story is all over the place and constantly stumbles between barely coherent and batshit crazy. But some of the bad moments do fall into so bad it's good territory, and I guess that's part of the movie's charm. I own the DVD and I don't regret the purchase, and I understand why certain people do enjoy it. It just wasn't really my cup of tea. However, even though I'm not heaping praise on Conan the Barbarian, it is a masterpiece compared to the 1984 sequel, Conan the Destroyer. And I can already spot a major problem with this movie before I even press play on the DVD. While the first movie garnered an R rating by virtue of being loaded with blood and titties, this one's rated PG. You see, the powers that be at Universal decided the R rating was limiting the potential profits of Conan by limiting the potential audience. And if they removed that limitation by toning down the violence, you know, one of the things that made Conan the Barbarian popular in the first place, they could make even more money. And to demonstrate how well their plan worked, the domestic box office revenue for Conan the Barbarian was... And for Conan the Destroyer... Is that right? But that one's smaller. My God. Is this possible? Could it be that the studio executives were wrong?
I am Jack's complete lack of surprise.
Okay, I guess I'm not being totally fair. After all, box office revenue is not what makes a movie bad. Sucking ass is what makes it bad. So let's see just how much ass Conan can suck. That sounded a lot less dirty in my head. We begin with a bunch of menacing figures riding through the desert and eventually ambushing our heroes. Conan, played once again by Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Malik, played by Tracy Walter. You might want to speed it up, dude. You'll never capture him if you're going that slow. There, see? What did I tell you? So another guy attacks with a net, this time at full speed, but he's just as unlucky as the first guy. So they decide a brilliant new strategy is in order. 2 men with a net. Oh gee, that didn't work either. What a shock.
Why aren't they trying to kill us?
Maybe they want to capture us.
Well, yeah, I think it's a safe bet those nets aren't for fishing. Unless they're fishing for idiots. So after several of the soldiers get killed, the leader finally calls a stop to this silliness and reveals herself to be the evil Queen Taramis. Evil Queen isn't actually her title, but it might as well be. She's not the least bit subtle.
Not my queen.
You have a queen, but you are a Sumerian. The Sumerians have no rulers.
Well, if he has no ruler, then you're obviously not his queen. This isn't difficult, lady. Anyway, Taramis tells Conan she needs his help and is offering a reward.
Valeria. What I want, you cannot give me.
She wasn't stupid enough to come back for the sequel, but Taramis assures Conan that she can bring his girlfriend back from the dead. Conan believes her because he's stupid and follows her back to the castle. When they arrive, they are greeted by cheers from the crowd, which is odd considering Conan and Malik are supposed to be thieves. Thieves usually don't get cheers from large crowds of people. Unless you count politicians.
Doesn't that animal look familiar?
I think it does.
Oh god, remember that scene in Conan the Barbarian where Conan punches a camel? They're actually suggesting this is the same camel. Because that was a loose end that totally needed tying up.
I'm sorry about what happened the last time. But
Fuck you, camel! So, yeah. That happened. They end up in the palace, and the queen explains the job to Conan. It's pretty lengthy, so I'll sum up as best as I can. An ancient prophecy says the queen's daughter must undertake a perilous journey. She must retrieve a key only she can touch for some reason from a castle guarded by a wizard. The key will allow them to retrieve a jeweled horn from a crypt. Once he brings the horn back, he completes the quest, levels up, and adds 1 point to the skill of his choice. He also gains the ability to multi-class. So what would you like your second class to be? I will be a barbarian. But you're already a barbarian. I know. That way I will be twice the barbarian I am now. It doesn't actually work. Barbarian! Okay.
We shall both have everything we want. Through magic.
The Princess Jenna, played by a young Olivia d'Abo, is suddenly wakened from a nightmare. Always a good sign before going on a journey foretold by a prophecy. But the queen quickly calms her down. The captain of the queen's guard, Bombata, insists they don't need Conan for this task, but the queen reveals her true intentions.
I don't need the captain of the guard to steal a key. That is a task for a thief. What I do need you for is to see that this dear child is returned safely to the palace. Both the treasure and her virginity intact.
Your Majesty, Your Highness, Your Excellency, Your whatever. You do realize that's Wilt Chamberlain, right? For those of you who may not be aware, Wilt Chamberlain is well known for 2 things. First, he is one of the greatest basketball players of all time. Some would argue the greatest. The man once scored 100 points in a single game. And second, Wilt Chamberlain had a libido the size of Wilt Chamberlain. It is rumored that he slept with over 20,000 women in his lifetime. Now, it's widely accepted that number has been embellished. Drop 2 zeros and you're probably closer to the correct number, but still, there has to be someone else to whom you can charge the protection of your daughter's virginity. You're better off putting her in Arnold's hands. She appears to be fairly good looking, so given his prior taste in women, I doubt he's going to touch her. Oh yeah, I went there. Anyway, she must remain a virgin because the queen plans to sacrifice her daughter once she returns in order to resurrect their god Dagoth. If she's not a virgin, the ritual won't work. She also orders Bombata to kill Conan once they have the key. So the evil queen turns out to be evil.
What a twist!
So our heroes depart, and while wandering through the forest, look who they should find. Okay, I know you really wanted Mako to come back for the sequel, but you didn't have to kidnap the guy. Fortunately, Conan easily dispatches the cannibals and rescues his old friend. Fuck you, cannibal!
I need you.
I'm yours.
Sometime later, our heroes come to a small desert village where they find Zula, played by Grace Jones. And no, I have no idea why she's wearing a tail on her tail. Apparently, she raided the village with some bandits and she's the last one alive. For reasons only Conan knows, he decides to cut her bonds. So, no one's going to do anything to Conan after he just freed a captive criminal? No? They're just going to let him go on his way? Okay, whatever. Zula eventually tracks them down, and yes, she somehow managed to fend off about 50 men on her own. How? Because she's Grace fucking Jones, that's how. Bombata initially tells her to piss off, and she doesn't take it well. But Conan puts a stop to this and allows Zula to join them.
I swear that if Conan will let me ride with him, I will give my life for him.
We shall see.
The party eventually arrives at the wizard's castle, and they decide to make camp for the night. Unfortunately, they are spotted by the one-eyed wizard, and no, that's not a double entendre, and he turns into a blue ghost pterodactyl?
If we hold on together, I know our dreams will never die.
The wizard swipes Jenna and takes her back to his fortress, so it's up to our heroes to rescue her. She's in trouble.
Too late, my friends. But come. Come anyway.
You missed most of the party, but there's still beer left, so come. Come anyway.